The champagne flute slips from my fingers as I watch Marcus spin her around the dance floor. Crystal shatters against marble, but the sound is lost beneath the orchestra playing at my promotion party. The party he insisted on throwing for me. The party where he brought her as his plus one. Congratulations on making senior partner. Vivian Chen purrs in my ear, her red lips curved in a smile that doesn't reach her calculating eyes. Though I suppose congratulations are really in order for me, my blood turns to ice. What do you mean? She laughs, a tinkling sound like breaking glass. Oh, sweetie. Did you really think Marcus loved you? We've been together for 2 years. You were just convenient, a stepping stone. He needed your connections to secure the Morrison account, and I needed someone to take the fall for the Henderson embezzlement. The room spins. The Henderson embezzlement. The one I've been secretly investigating. The one that could destroy Morrison and Associates if it goes public. You look pale, Elena. Maybe you should sit down. Vivian's voice sounds far away. Oh, and that drink you just finished? The one Marcus brought you? You might want to ask him about the little addition he made to it. My vision blurs. The edges of the ballroom grow dark. I can see Marcus across the room, no longer dancing, watching me with something that might be regret or relief. The Henderson files are in your office safe, Vivian continues, her voice growing distant, with your fingerprints all over them, and your digital signature authorizing the transfers. Amazing what technology can do these days. I try to speak, to scream, but my throat won't work. My legs give out and I collapse behind the champagne table, hidden from view of the party guests. The last thing I see is Marcus walking toward the exit with Vivian, his arm around her waist. I die listening to the orchestra play our song. I wake up gasping, my heart hammering against my ribs. But I'm not on the cold marble floor of the Morrison and Associates ballroom. I'm in my apartment, in my bed, sunlight streaming through windows that should be showing a nighttime cityscape. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. The date makes my blood stop cold. March 15th, 2024. 6 months before the promotion party, 6 months before I died. This is impossible. This is insane. The phone rings. Marcus's name flashes on the screen and everything comes flooding back. Not just the party, but everything after. The investigation that cleared me posthumously, the discovery that Marcus and Vivian had been systematically embezzling from client accounts for years, the revelation that they'd killed me to cover their tracks, making it look like suicide brought on by guilt. I know how this story ends, but not anymore. Elena, are you there? His voice, once so warm and familiar, now sounds like sandpaper against my soul, but I school my features into the expression of the woman I used to be, trusting, naive, in love. Marcus, sorry, I was just waking up. What's up? I wanted to run an idea by you about the Morrison account. Can we have lunch today? In my previous life, I'd said yes immediately. I'd been so eager to help him, to prove myself worthy of his love. This time, I have different plans. Actually, I'm swamped with the Chen Industries proposal. Rain check? There's a pause. He's not used to me having other priorities. Of course, how about dinner tomorrow? That new place on 5th? Sounds perfect. After I hang up, I sit in the silence of my apartment, my mind racing. I have 6 months to destroy them before they destroy me. 6 months to build an empire they can't touch. 6 months to expose their crimes and ensure they face justice. But first, I need to get dressed. I have a very important meeting with Chen Industries today. One that's going to change everything. Chen Industries headquarters gleams like a chrome and glass monument to ambition. In my past life, I'd never made it past the lobby. This time, I stride through the doors with the confidence of someone who knows exactly how this meeting will go. Miss Morrison, Mr. Chen will see you now. David Chen looks exactly as I remember from the newspaper articles I read after my death. Sharp-suited, sharp-eyed, and utterly ruthless. What those articles didn't mention was how he'd tried to hire me 3 times before giving up and going with a competing firm. Elena Morrison? I was beginning to think you'd never take my calls. I smile, settling into the chair across from his massive desk. I was waiting for the right moment, Mr. Chen. When I could give your proposal the attention it deserves. And that moment is now. Let's just say I've had a change of perspective about my current situation. He leans back, studying me with new interest. I'll be direct, Miss Morrison. I need someone who can handle complex international acquisitions. Someone who isn't afraid to get their hands dirty. Your reputation for thorough research and creative solutions precedes you. If only he knew how thorough my research is about to become. I'm listening. I'm looking at a hostile takeover of Morrison and Associates. The words hit like a physical blow. In my previous life, this conversation never happened. Chen had tried to poach individual lawyers, not acquire the entire firm. That's quite an ambitious move, I manage. Your firm has been hemorrhaging money for the past year. Bad investments, questionable client management, suspicious financial activity. I suspect they're covering up some significant problems. He's right, of course. Marcus and Vivian's embezzlement has been slowly bleeding the firm dry. But in my past life, I'd been too blinded by love and trust to see it. What would you need from me? Inside information, details about their financial structure, client relationships, ongoing cases. In return, I'll make you a senior partner in the new structure. Your own department, your own team, and a salary that would make your current partners weep. I pretend to consider this, letting the silence stretch. In reality, I'm calculating how to use this to maximum advantage. I'll need some assurances, I say finally, and I'll need to know this stays between us until the acquisition is complete. Of course, I'll have my legal team draw up a confidentiality agreement. Make it ironclad, Mr. Chen, because if Morrison and Associates discovers what we're planning, they won't go down quietly. His smile is predatory. I was hoping you'd say that. My office at Morrison and Associates has never felt more like enemy territory. Every smile from a colleague, every casual conversation, every meeting feels loaded with potential danger. But it's also my greatest resource. I've always been meticulous about documentation. What my former colleagues don't realize is that I remember exactly which files to look for now. Working late again, Elena? I look up to find Vivian in my doorway, her blonde hair perfectly styled even at 9 p.m. In my past life, I'd considered her a friend, a mentor even. Now I can see the calculation behind her warm smile. Just trying to stay on top of the Henderson account, I reply, making sure to keep the relevant files visible on my desk. The compliance documentation is more complex than I initially thought. Her eyes sharpen almost imperceptibly. Henderson can be tricky. If you need any help navigating their requirements, I'm happy to assist. Actually, that would be great. I keep finding these discrepancies in the financial reports. Small things, but they add up. I watch her carefully as I say this. The micro expression that crosses her face, a tiny tightening around her eyes, confirms what I already know. She's been skimming from the Henderson account for months. Discrepancies can be common with international transactions, she says smoothly. Currency fluctuations, processing delays. I wouldn't worry too much about minor variations. Of course, you're right. I lean back in my chair, projecting the image of someone easily convinced. I probably just need to look at the bigger picture. Exactly. Why don't you send me what you've found? I can review it tonight and we can discuss it tomorrow. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much, Vivian. After she leaves, I sit in the darkened office and smile. She just asked me to hand her the evidence of her own crimes. In my past life, I would have. This time, I have much better plans for those files. I work until midnight, copying financial records, client communications, and internal memos. Everything that will prove Marcus and Vivian's embezzlement. Everything that will show Morrison and Associates is ripe for acquisition. Everything that will destroy the people who killed me. You're distracted tonight. Marcus reaches across the table at dinner, covering my hand with his. 3 weeks ago, this gesture would have made my heart race. Now it takes all my self-control not to pull away. Just work stress. The Morrison account has some complications. Anything I can help with? I study his face, the concerned furrow of his brow, the slight tilt of his head. He's good at this, the caring boyfriend act. But I know what lies beneath it now. Actually, yes. I've been reviewing our client files for inefficiencies, and I noticed some unusual patterns in expense reporting. His hand stills on mine. What kind of patterns? Nothing major, just some discrepancies between reported costs and actual expenditures. I was thinking of implementing a new tracking system. Elena, I'm not sure that's necessary. Our current system has worked for years. But it could work better. More transparency, more accountability. I pause, pretending to consider. Unless you think there's a reason we shouldn't examine our processes too closely? His laugh sounds forced. Of course not. I just don't want you burning yourself out on administrative details when you could be focusing on bigger cases. You're probably right. Although I did mention the idea to David Chen at Chen Industries, and he seemed very interested in our internal processes. The color drains from Marcus's face. You spoke to David Chen? He called about a consultation. Routine business development call. I shrug as if it's nothing. Why, is there something I should know about Chen Industries? No, just they're very aggressive in their business practices. I'd be careful about sharing too much information with them. Of course, I'm always careful about client confidentiality. The rest of dinner passes in strained conversation. Marcus is distracted now, his phone buzzing repeatedly with texts he tries to check discreetly. Probably from Vivian. Probably panicking about Chen's sudden interest in Morrison and Associates. Good. Let them panic. The Morrison and Associates partners meeting feels different when you know everyone's secrets. I sit in my usual chair, legal pad ready, watching my colleagues with new eyes. Before we discuss new business, Richard Morrison announces, I want to address some concerns that have been brought to my attention about our internal audit procedures. I feel Marcus tense beside me. Vivian, seated across the conference table, maintains her perfect composure, but I catch the slight tightening of her jaw. Elena has suggested implementing enhanced expense tracking protocols, Morrison continues. While I appreciate her diligence, I'm concerned about the message this might send to our clients about our current practices. Actually, I interject, I think transparent financial practices would reassure our clients, especially given the current regulatory environment. What regulatory environment? Asks Jennifer Walsh, our tax specialist. This is the moment I've been building toward. The SEC has announced increased scrutiny of law firms handling large corporate accounts, particularly regarding proper documentation of client trust funds and expense allocation. It's not true, not yet, but it will be in 3 months when the Henderson investigation goes public. Watching their faces as they process this information is almost worth dying for. Where did you hear this? Marcus asks. David Chen mentioned it when he called about a consultation. Apparently, Chen Industries has been contacted by federal investigators about some of their legal service providers. The silence that follows is deafening. Vivian's perfect composure finally cracks, her eyes darting to Marcus before she regains control. Well, Morrison says finally, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to review our procedures. Vivian, could you work with Elena on this? Your experience with compliance would be valuable. Of course, Vivian replies, her smile bright and empty. I'd be happy to help. After the meeting, I gather my papers slowly, letting the room empty. As I suspected, Marcus lingers behind. Elena, can we talk privately? Of course. When we're alone, he closes the conference room door and turns to face me. For a moment, I see something raw in his expression. Fear, maybe, or guilt. This audit idea, where is it really coming from? I told you, I want to implement better practices. And Chen? What did he really say to you? I meet his gaze steadily. He said Morrison and Associates has a reputation for excellence, but that reputation can be fragile. He said firms that don't adapt to changing regulatory requirements often find themselves in serious trouble. Elena. He steps closer and I can smell his cologne. The same cologne I once found comforting. You know I care about you, right? About your career, your future with this firm? I know you care about a lot of things, Marcus. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing specific. I just think we all care about different things sometimes. The question is whether those things align with what's best for everyone involved. He stares at me for a long moment, and I can see him trying to read between the lines, trying to figure out what I know and how much danger he's in. I should get back to work, I say finally. These compliance procedures won't design themselves. 3 days later, Vivian corners me in the break room. Gone is her usual perfectly controlled demeanor. She looks tired, stressed, almost desperate. Elena, we need to talk. Of course, what's on your mind? She glances around to make sure we're alone, then leans in close. This audit you're proposing, I think you should reconsider. Why? Are you concerned about something specific? Not concerned exactly, but sometimes these kinds of reviews can uncover misunderstandings, things that look problematic but have perfectly innocent explanations. I tilt my head, projecting innocent curiosity. What kind of misunderstandings? Financial discrepancies, expense allocations that might seem unusual to someone not familiar with our standard practices. Are you saying our practices might not withstand scrutiny? I'm saying that any system can be misinterpreted by people who don't understand the context. Her voice drops to an urgent whisper. Elena, there are things about this firm that are more complicated than they appear. Things that could hurt innocent people if they're misunderstood. This is it. She's offering to let me in on the conspiracy. In my past life, this would have been the moment she started grooming me to take the fall. I appreciate you looking out for me, Vivian, but I think transparency is always the best policy. Her face hardens. Even when that transparency could destroy people's careers? People who trust you? Especially then. She stares at me for a long moment, and I can see her recalculating, trying to determine if I'm a threat or just naive. You know, she says finally, Marcus is very fond of you. He's mentioned wanting to take your relationship to the next level. The sudden change of topic doesn't fool me. This is the carrot after the stick. The promise of everything I thought I wanted. Has he? He's been looking at rings. In my past life, this news would have made me dizzy with joy. Now it just makes me sick. That's very thoughtful of him. Elena, Vivian's voice becomes almost pleading. Some things are more important than perfect bookkeeping, love, loyalty, partnership. Don't you think? I think honesty is the foundation of any good relationship, professional or personal. Her face goes completely blank. When she speaks again, her voice is ice cold. I hope you know what you're doing. I always do. The call from David Chen comes on a Friday afternoon, just as I'm preparing to leave for the weekend. Elena, we need to meet tonight. Is something wrong? Let's just say my timeline has accelerated. Can you be at my office at 7? When I arrive at Chen Industries, the building is mostly empty. David's assistant escorts me to his executive conference room, where David is waiting with 2 other people I don't recognize. Elena, I'd like you to meet Sarah Kim from our forensic accounting team and James Morrison from our legal department. My blood runs cold. Morrison? Richard Morrison's nephew, David explains. He's been helping us understand the family dynamics at Morrison and Associates. James Morrison is younger than I expected, probably in his early 30s, with the kind of sharp intelligence that runs in the Morrison family. But there's something else in his eyes. Anger. James has been concerned about some irregularities at his uncle's firm, David continues. Irregularities that align with what you've been discovering. What kind of irregularities? James leans forward. 3 months ago, I tried to bring concerns about financial discrepancies to my uncle's attention. He dismissed them, said they were accounting errors, but I kept digging. He slides a folder across the table. Marcus Henderson and Vivian Chen have been systematically embezzling from client accounts for over 2 years. They've stolen nearly $3 million. I look through the documents, recognition dawning. These are the same files I found in my past life. The same evidence that was planted in my office, safe to frame me. How did you get these? I copied them before they could be destroyed or moved. I suspected someone was going to be set up to take the fall. And you think that someone is me? I know it is. His voice is grim. Vivian has been asking detailed questions about your access to financial systems. Marcus has been working late, supposedly on your cases. They're setting up digital traces that will lead back to you. David watches this exchange with the satisfaction of a chess master seeing his strategy unfold. This is why I moved up our timeline. We're filing for emergency acquisition on Monday morning, citing financial malfeasance and the need to protect client assets. Monday? My mind races. That's incredibly fast. We have federal investigators standing by. The SEC has been monitoring Morrison and Associates for 6 months, based on James's original complaint. They're ready to freeze assets and begin criminal proceedings. I lean back in my chair, processing this information. In my past life, I died not knowing that help was coming. Justice was coming. But it was too late for me. What do you need from me? Access to current financial records, confirmation of recent activities, and David pauses. Witness testimony about any suspicious requests or instructions you've received. You want me to wear a wire. Only if you're comfortable with that. We understand this puts you in considerable personal danger. Personal danger? If only they knew I've already died once for this information. I'll do it. Saturday night, I sit in my apartment preparing for what might be the most important performance of my life. Or lives. The wire is smaller than I expected, nearly invisible once Sarah Kim finishes taping it in place. The backup recording device is hidden in my watch. James Morrison sits across from my couch, going over the conversation topics one more time. Remember, we need them to explicitly acknowledge the embezzlement and their plan to frame you. Don't push too hard. Let them think they're convincing you to join them. I understand. Elena. James's voice becomes gentle. I know this is personal for you, the relationship with Marcus. But you should know, he's been planning this for over a year. The whole relationship was part of their strategy. I nod, not trusting my voice. Even knowing what I know, hearing it confirmed still hurts. He doesn't deserve your loyalty. No, he doesn't. Sunday morning, I text Marcus. Need to talk. Can you come over? He arrives within the hour, bringing coffee and pastries from my favorite bakery. The gesture that once would have melted my heart now seems like manipulation. You seemed upset Friday, he says, settling on my couch. I wanted to make sure you were okay. I've been thinking about what Vivian said, about the audit potentially causing problems for people I care about. His relief is visible. I'm glad. I was worried you might be getting in over your head. The thing is, Marcus, I think I already am. He tenses. What do you mean? I found some things. Financial irregularities that I can't explain away as simple errors. Elena, I know about the Henderson account, the missing funds, the false expense reports. Silence stretches between us. When he finally speaks, his voice is completely different. Colder. How much do you know? Enough to destroy both of you, but I don't want to... What do you want? This is the moment everything depends on. I want in. He stares at me for a long moment. In? If you're going to steal $3 million, I want my share. And I want protection when this all comes out. Elena, you don't understand what you're asking for. I understand perfectly. You and Vivian have been embezzling from client accounts. You've been planning to frame someone when the investigation gets too close. And that someone is me. His face goes completely blank. Who told you that? I figured it out myself, the digital signatures on my accounts. The way Vivian keeps asking about my access codes, the way you've been working late on my cases. Jesus, Elena, you really don't understand what's happening here. Then explain it to me. He runs his hands through his hair, then looks at me with something that might be genuine regret. The plan was never to frame you, it was to frame Morrison. My blood stops. This is new information, something I never learned in my past life. Richard Morrison? He's been skimming from the firm for years, small amounts, nothing too obvious. We were going to expose him, take control of the firm ourselves. But then Chen Industries started sniffing around, and we realized we needed a different exit strategy. Which involved me dying? The words slip out before I can stop them. Marcus's face goes white. What did you just say? I said which involved me lying to federal investigators. But it's too late. I've revealed too much. Marcus stands up slowly, his eyes never leaving my face. Elena, how did you know about Chen Industries? You mentioned them at dinner. No, I didn't. You brought them up first. The room feels like it's shrinking. Marcus pulls out his phone, and I know he's calling Vivian, probably texting her to come over immediately. I think, he says carefully, we need to have a longer conversation about what you know and how you know it. Vivian arrives 20 minutes later, moving with the predatory grace of a woman who's just realized she's been outplayed. She takes one look at Marcus's face and immediately understands the situation has changed. Elena has some questions about our business activities, Marcus says without preamble. I'm sure she does. Vivian's voice is silk over steel. The question is what she plans to do with the answers. I stand up, crossing to the window that overlooks the city. From here, I can see the Morrison and Associates building in the distance. Tomorrow, it will be under federal investigation. Tomorrow, these two will be in custody. I want to understand my options, I say without turning around. Your options are limited, Vivian replies. You know too much to walk away, but not enough to protect yourself. Enlighten me. The Henderson embezzlement is real, but it's only part of the picture. Marcus and I have been building a network of offshore accounts, shell companies, and strategic partnerships. We've moved nearly $15 million out of Morrison and Associates over the past 3 years. I turn to face them. 15 million? Richard Morrison is old, tired, and careless. He never bothered to implement modern financial controls. We could have continued indefinitely if you hadn't started asking questions. And my role in all this? Marcus and Vivian exchange a look. Some silent communication passes between them. Originally, you were going to be our inside source after we took control of the firm, Marcus says. Your relationship with me would have made you a natural ally. We could have offered you partnership, security, a future. And now you're a liability, Vivian says simply. You know too much, and you've demonstrated that you can't be trusted to stay quiet. I feel the wire against my skin, recording every word. They're giving me everything I need to destroy them. So what are my options, really? Option 1, Vivian says, settling back in my armchair like she owns it. You disappear. We arrange for you to have a tragic accident, and the investigation finds evidence of your guilt in your apartment. The grieving firm mourns their brilliant but corrupted associate. Option 2? There is no option 2, Marcus says quietly. I'm sorry, Elena. I really did care about you. Just not enough to let me live. It's not personal, it's business. I nod slowly as if accepting my fate. Can I ask you something? Of course. How are you planning to kill me? The question hangs in the air like a blade. Vivian's smile sharpens. Poison. Tasteless, untraceable after a few hours. We were going to use it at your promotion party. Make it look like you took your own life out of guilt. The promotion party that was never really for me. The promotion was real, Marcus says. Richard was planning to announce it regardless. We just decided to make it your farewell party as well. I walk back to the couch, sitting down across from them. They think they've won. They think I'm broken, ready to accept whatever fate they have planned. There's something you should know, I say quietly. What's that? I've been recording this conversation. The color drains from both their faces. Vivian lunges for my watch, but I'm ready for her. I roll away, coming up on my feet near the door. Elena, Marcus says, his voice deadly calm, give me the recording device. I don't think so. You don't understand. If you turn that in, you'll never be safe. We have connections, resources. We'll destroy you. You already tried that. Vivian has moved to flank me, cutting off my escape route to the door. Elena, be reasonable. We can work something out. A partnership arrangement. 30% of everything we've taken. 50%, I counter, playing for time. Done, Marcus says immediately. Plus guaranteed safety and a clean exit strategy when this all goes public. Of course. And I want you to admit that you killed me. They both freeze. What? In my past life. At the promotion party. You poisoned me and let me die thinking I was alone and betrayed. Marcus and Vivian exchange glances full of genuine confusion and growing alarm. Elena, Vivian says carefully, yet you're starting to worry us. Past life? I died 6 months from now. March 15th, 2024. You poisoned my champagne at the Morrison and Associates ballroom. I died behind the refreshment table while you two danced to our song. Elena, Marcus takes a step toward me. That's impossible. Is it? Then how do I know about the Henderson files in my office safe? How do I know about your relationship with Vivian? How do I know about your plan to frame me for embezzlement? You could have figured those things out. How do I know about the poison? How do I know about the $15 million? How do I know that Richard Morrison has been embezzling too? The silence that follows is deafening. I can see them both trying to process what I'm saying, trying to find a rational explanation. Prove it, Vivian says finally. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., federal agents will raid Morrison and Associates. They'll freeze all assets and arrest anyone found on the premises. By Tuesday, Chen Industries will own the firm. By Friday, you'll both be in federal custody. That's impossible. No one knows. James Morrison knows. He's been feeding information to the SEC for months. And David Chen has been planning a hostile takeover based on evidence of financial malfeasance. I watch the knowledge settle over them like a death shroud. Marcus sinks into his chair, suddenly looking older. You're working with them. I'm working for justice, something you two wouldn't understand. Vivian's composure finally cracks completely. You little bitch, you set us up. No, Vivian, you set yourselves up. I just made sure you couldn't take anyone else down with you. The sound of sirens grows louder outside my window, right on schedule. What did you do? Marcus demands. I called the FBI 20 minutes ago, gave them a full confession about your plans to kill me tonight. The sirens are very close now. Car doors slam in the street below. Elena Morrison, FBI, open the door! I smile at the two people who murdered me in another life. I promoted myself out of your life, permanently. 6 months later, I stand in the newly renovated offices of Chen and Associates, watching the sunrise paint the city gold. The nameplate on my door reads, Elena Morrison, Senior Partner. My own department, my own team, and a salary that makes my old partners weep. Marcus and Vivian are both serving federal time for embezzlement, fraud, and attempted murder. The wire recording was all the evidence needed to secure their convictions. Richard Morrison retired quietly, his own minor embezzlement exposed but not prosecuted in exchange for cooperation. James Morrison and I have become close friends, bonded by our shared experience of fighting corruption within the family firm. He leads our new internal compliance department with the passion of someone who's seen what happens when good people stay silent. David Chen proved to be everything he promised, ruthless in business, but fair to those who earned his respect. The acquisition of Morrison and Associates was seamless, and the client transition went smoothly once the criminal elements were removed. Working late again? I turn to find James in my doorway holding 2 cups of coffee from the shop downstairs. Just reviewing the Patterson contract. Want to make sure everything's perfect? He hands me a coffee and settles into the chair across from my desk. You know, you never told me how you knew to start investigating the embezzlement when you did. What made you suspicious? I consider how to answer this. The truth is too strange, too impossible. But maybe a version of the truth will suffice. Let's just say I had a very realistic nightmare about what would happen if I didn't act. Sometimes our subconscious knows things before our conscious mind catches up. A nightmare. A dream where I died because I trusted the wrong people. It felt so real that I couldn't ignore it. He nods thoughtfully. Intuition is powerful. We should listen to it more often. Yes, we should. My phone buzzes with a text from David Chen. Dinner tomorrow? I have a new acquisition target I want to discuss with you. I smile, typing back, looking forward to it. In my past life, I died naive and trusting, surrounded by people who saw me as nothing more than a convenient scapegoat. In this life, I've built something real, something mine, something that can't be taken away by pretty words and false promises. I promoted myself out of Marcus's life, out of Vivian's reach, out of the victim's role I once played so well. Some might call it revenge. I prefer to think of it as justice. And if that justice came with a corner office, a 7-figure salary, and the satisfaction of watching my murderers rot in federal prison, well, some promotions are worth dying for. I just made sure I lived to enjoy this one.